That's what he looked like. And he said, I get it. I get it. And he's in Singapore, and that's when he retired. And it's interesting, his daughter just graduated from St. Andrews University. She's been here 3 or 4 years going to school, and he came to her graduation, and he stopped by and saw me. And she says, I've been here 3, 4 years, and you never had the time to come and see me at St. Andrews, but for this old psychopath in the castle, you come to fucking Scotland. Which is true. And but what are some of the takeaways from listening to Deb? And right now he's in the throes of closing, putting the last piece of finance involved, and I think his 3 deals, which I'm going to lecture you about this. You got to do one at a time, because you do 3 and one falls apart, then the other 2 fall apart. But he's doing it based on his experience, because he's been doing this 27 years. But he followed the steps. I mean, what are questions about what he said that perhaps weren't asked by his seminar group or anything else?
What's the multiple deals?
Pardon?
What's the multiple?
High. His multiples are in the middle teens.
I think a takeaway is to increase our goal sizes.
Well, I mean, we haven't even talked about goals. Goals come in the 4th day, but
Does it sound like? I'm sorry.
No, I mean the 100 times. Remember what you wrote down about goals. I mean, I say this: they're pathetic. Not one of you 24 guys has got goals that you set down previously, and you illustrated before you got here. But you should have read the material that I told you, but you didn't, or it didn't resonate with you, because nobody, you can't. It doesn't register that you can make $10 million in a day. I remember the first day I made $10,000. October the 5th, 1974. I remember the first day I made $100,000. 1976. I remember the first day I made $1 million. That's to me. Okay? I remember the first day I made $10 million. And I remember, like, when I took a shit this morning and brushed my teeth, the day I made 100 million pounds in one day, me. And I've told him he's got to fall back on the memory of him closing all these deals that he's done, because he's done 1.5 billion deals, a whole bunch of deals. And it's without question your goals are too low, and they're too low. Why? Mommy and Daddy, who probably had no goals. My parents only had one goal in life: to keep me alive until I reached the age of reason. That's it. There wasn't any. Because I was they used to call it problem child back in those days. But I was a terror, to say the least. Yes, I was rebelling against my dad's strict, it doesn't matter what I was rebelling. The fact is, I was a fucking, a son of a bitch to raise, and as evidenced by all the crazy, stupid things I did. Yeah, your goals, and as I told some of you, I didn't, if it wasn't for what happened to me in the military, and when we talk about goals, I'll go through that in some detail. I didn't know what $1 million was until I was 21. I didn't know how many zeros was in $1 million. Not $1 million. I'd heard the term million, but it didn't make it, because certainly nobody in my neighborhood was ever a millionaire or anything close to it. You had a comment to say.
Oh, it sounded like the gentleman was getting his deals in order before he's going to get financing, all his chairman, his board set up.
Well, that's exactly right. He had his chairman, his board, his accountants, his lawyers. He started with small accounting firms. He ultimately has a Big 4 accounting firm. He started with small lawyers, and it just coincidentally, when he narrowed the funnel down for his board members in that part of the world, the club that he belongs to in Singapore is where all the shakers and movers, just as one of the clubs that I belong to, the Shakers and Movers of Southern California belong, and we're affiliated to his club, just coincidentally. But he's following the steps. And it's very easy for somebody with that much experience to go from step 1 to step 5. It's very easy. Any other comments about Deb? Yes, sir.
What you said about the RFP for the account, was that a kind of beauty contest or what?
Yeah, well, it is a beauty contest. You set them up to compete against each other. For the first time, you're in the driver's seat. As they say in this part of the world, you put them on their back foot. And they'll ask you, who else are you talking to? And you tell them legitimately. You don't make up, we're talking to 4 of the top 10 or 3 of the top 4. And you do the same thing with a law firm. And then when we get around to picking your board, there's 2 different ways the kids do it. The one way is, and the way I did it, is that I talk to you, we either decide that we're going to work together, okay, you're one of my non-executive, you're my industry expert, you're my CFO, okay. The kids, partially because it's easier to get board members now because of the internet, is they interview 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10, and then pick the best ones, the best one to be the chairman. I don't like that way. I don't like that. Of course, partially because I didn't do it that way, but it works. I mean, the kids make it work. And he asked some of one of the thick Irishmen that asked the question, did you meet everybody that you on your board face to face? And then there's 2 schools of thought. There's the old-fashioned face to face, which is I am, or like Deb met every one of them face to face, or you start by link fucking them, and then you Zoom fuck them or Skype fuck them, and a lot of the kids do it that way. A lot of the kids, just as when we talk about, you don't have to have an office, you don't have to have a website, you don't have to have business cards, nothing. Those are just excuses. You prolong it, okay? But we got kids that get business cards, get websites. And we have kids that get offices. They, these virtual little offices. You can go rent an office with a boardroom kind of shit, okay? Because that's within their comfort. Josh meets them at fucking Starbucks. Starbucks ought to give him a fucking commission. But now he's coming from the other end of the continuum. This is, he doesn't say it this way. This is the Josh, the teenage multimillionaire phenom. That has done so many deals and overfinanced 75% of them. He's not that cocky. He's cocky, but he's not that cocky. But when he first started, I'm 17 years old. I look 9. But I mean, if you make, I think I told somebody last night at dinner, a guy that just did his first deal. He's 5 months out of the 5 months past the mentorship. He said, I would have paid you $25,000 if you had told me I was only 1,000 cold calls away from a $10 million acquisition. 1,000 cold calls. Now, a cold call, you got a hold of somebody. Or as they say in Texas, you got a hold of them. Not leaving a message. See, you guys think making a call is leaving a message on his voicemail. 1,000 cold calls, 1,000 interfaces with a human being, and you'll do a deal. 1,000. And if you're making 500 cold calls a day, guess what? Bruce Whipple and I we just had dinner. Bruce, if you're watching, I know you are. Sally and I had dinner with him a few weeks ago in Boston. He drove from Maine, bungfuck Maine, where he lives, hiding from you cocksuckers, to Boston to talk to me and have dinner with us. And we both think it's easy now with the internet, because when we did it, it was shoe leather. I mean, now you can accomplish. You ought to be able to leave here, do a board, everything in a month. Do a deal. 30 days. There's no reason you can't. Yes, sir.
How about the geographical location? Should be close or?
Well, we talk in depth, but I mean, you know, the girl that sucks your balls that lives next door, that you only have to climb through her window, is better than the girl that you got to take a bus to go see 15 miles away. That used to be our old rule of thumb, as crass as it sounds. But to me, it still makes a lot of fucking sense, doesn't it? Of course, now nobody gets their balls sucked. So, I mean, I don't understand. But anyway, I mean, to get laid even, or to touch your bosoms, or whatever, you know? I mean, it's beyond my comprehension. You know, it's like when we were talking about earlier, for 10 years, almost solid, the only thing I thought about was getting wealthy. That's it. 10 solid years. There were weeks, days I didn't leave the castle, physically, to step out and get fresh air. There were weeks I didn't leave the compound, this 150, weeks, even months, I didn't leave this 156 acres. Now, some of you say, well, why would you want to live? This is paradise. Well, yeah, but, you know, because I was fucking focused on doing as many deals as fast as humanly possible. That's all I thought about. I stopped playing golf, and the reason I moved here was to play golf, to be near the home of golf, St. Andrews. I stopped playing golf. Now, but my gym is only, 40 feet from me, and now we have 2 gyms, but that's all I thought about. I get in your email reports all the time, weekly reports. What am I not telling Mr. Peña is the bottom section. I felt like shit. I went to my kid brother's wedding, and I hated every fucking minute of it. I couldn't wait to leave. Now, that's a shitty thing to say about your brother, isn't it? Supposedly, we all know it's not going to be the happy days of his life. But anyway, that's what the theory is, right? Which is a load of shit. Just another load of conventional shit wisdom. He couldn't wait to get into his car and on his cell phone, and he made his wife drive so he could be making cold calls. We have guys that their wife has given birth. They're on the phone, push, honey, push, push. Now listen, you asshole. Oh, you don't try to renege on the LO. Yes, sir. Oh, you just, okay. Yeah. But, that's why I say it's not for everybody. But it's a lot easier now with the internet. God almighty, it's easy. I just had some fucking twit that came to the last seminar in August. Remember, there's hundreds of thousands of people on LinkedFuck. And they're not there, they're there because they want something. A fraction of them want to do pro bono shit and do stuff for free and give back to humanity. That's true. But that's a small fraction, a small sliver. Everybody else is out to put money in their pocket, because now when you work 40 years for IBM, you don't get a gold watch like this that's worth $100,000. Well, they were never worth $100,000 like this watch is. But they get nothing. They get a pension that probably the first 5 years of their retirement can't support themselves. Why do you hear about, in some of your families or some of your people you might know, downsize? After the kids leave the house, after they retire, they downsize. They go from a big house to a smaller house. They sell their cabin, right? Why? Because they don't have enough money for retirement. Anything else about Deb?
Yeah, one of the things that he said was you must show leadership at every step.
Correct.
All right. Now, when you don't know exactly your field that you're going into as much as your...
That's not what they're looking at.
Oh, okay.
When I went into the oil business, can I have your pen, please? I didn't know enough about the oil business to feel the top of that pen. Thank you. And that's another one of your big self-sabotaging activities. Some of you will pick a area that Einstein couldn't figure out because you want to fail. Because you want to fail. And that leadership 101, you know. And the stuff that Jocko, God love him, I mean, he's preaching leadership 101. But for most people that, you know, that haven't been through the training like he has, or training that I've been through, you know, leadership 101 is, you know, taking ownership, as he says, and just fucking doing it. He says get after it, or whatever he says, but he says just fucking do it. And do what you say and say what you do. That's leadership 101. And don't be willy-nilly. Don't, you know. And most of you have lived your lives and your parents' lives giving tacit approval. Tacit approval is the reason why you're here today. And the people that are on YouTube are poor on YouTube. But tacit approval is this. This guy tells me something, and I know it's horse shit, and I just sit and listen. And then I walk away, right? Or, God forbid, and I hear his bullshit, and I happen to nod my head. Okay. Now he goes to this other muttonhead over here, and he says, Dan's on board. Not because I said I was on board, or by accident I nodded my head up and down, because I didn't say I wasn't on board. In his mind, I've given him tacit approval. You've lived your whole fucking lives. For those of you that work in big organizations, you listen to your boss, you know he's full of shit, but you just sit there and listen. Now, I got in trouble. I used to say, you're full of shit. That's bullshit. All my life. And I told you, Dr. Shirley Teeter said, the only thing that's changed with Danny Peña is that his accomplishments have caught up with his big fucking mouth. Because I was talking shit, just like Muhammad. I'm the fucking greatest, you know. Fuck me, sweetheart. I mean, I fuck like a fucking lumberjack with a 14-inch dick. I've been talking shit now. I've done all that shit. Except for the 14, I'm about 13 and a half inches short on that part. But I mean, I've done all that shit. So now my accomplishments have caught up. Anything else? But Deb, you're going to see from the educated like Deb was to the retard, mongoloid idiot, but both successful. Because you don't have to be that. You don't have to be. And I say tongue-in-cheek, since most of you fall towards the mongoloid idiot end of the continuum, you'll be able to resonate more with them. But I mean, we've got a few educated people in here. We've got a few people that are from business. But like he said, he tends to err on the side of over-analyzing and spreadsheeting, because that's his background. And you do that when you're in a big company because you don't want to make a mistake with the company's money, because you don't make too many mistakes with the company's money before you're out, or at least you're not on the fast track for promotion. I understand that, but you got to take the risk, and if you're not willing to take the risk, you're not going to make it in this program. You'll make it 10, 12 years from now. And that's why I get emails all the time that the guys say, you know, I finally manned up enough to make it work. And I stress the manned up to make it work portion. And many of the questions that have already been brought up or come to the surface will be answered in detail. But he is following the scripts. And it's harder for him to follow the scripts because he's been doing deals 27 years, conventional ways, where somebody puts in equity. Okay, YouTube, thank you.